Hi, my name is Petrus Naryama, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can create sort of an attendance register using Microsoft Excel. I am going to cover this same tutorial in my vernacular, which is Oshivambo, a language from Namibia, as well as in Portuguese in the subsequent series afterwards. So, first of all, this is the Excel program, and this is what we call a worksheet. So a worksheet consists of columns which are letters from A to infinity, as well as numbers which represent the rows, which are also from 1 to infinity. So in Excel, we have what we call a cell. So a cell is any block which you see on this worksheet over here. So now we say that where the letter and the number combine together, A1, this will be the location or the reference of the cell. So if I say that I need you to go to cell H3, it means I'll need you to go over to H and then the column H, and then you move over to row 3. So this is the cell H3. Okay, good. So now I want you to change the layout of your sheet so that we can actually have it like in landscape mode for us to get the margins. So in order to do that, I'll just go to home, then I'll come over to the bottom over here and click on page layout. This will show me how the page will look like when I actually have to print it out. Okay, so now let's get into it then. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to create a really nice header. So I'm going to click on cell A1 and move over to the end, which is cell A91. Okay, so you can just highlight it by clicking like this. Then actually let's make it two of these. Now I want to merge all of these into one cell, because if you check, if I type here, hi, there, currently these are separate. And then you can also see the values which are in a cell by clicking on this thing called the formula bar. So then again, let's create one big cell for our heading. So we highlight and we click over to there, and then we choose this function in alignment called merge and center. Then we click on that, and then let's call this subsa wedding events, or what can we call it? Yeah, subsa webinar attendance. Okay, now you see that the cell is appearing, that the title is appearing right at the bottom when you want it to be centered. So you can just fix that by going over to this over here, and then you click on middle align, which will put the cell right there in the middle. And then we can also make it bigger by clicking on this increase font size, and then we're going to make it bold. So now, what are the details which you want to take for the attendance? First, we'll want to say, okay, the number, or give it a unique number for each person. So we'll just put a hashtag over there. Then we want to take the name and then the surname. Oh, you know what? Let's actually combine it. Say name and surname. And then afterwards, what else do we want to collect? So since it's a, let's say maybe training session, training attendance, we want to find the attendance for a person over a week. So we have their name, surname, and then we can also have the week number. So let's say week 1. I'm gonna quickly try something here. Now I want to show you something really powerful about Excel. Instead of me typing manually week 2, week 3, week Or let's do this. Let's instead take the attendance over a day, like in days, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Instead of having to type like this manually and obviously leaving room for error, what you can do is that Excel has a really cool feature. You just type day 1, the number, of course, the number of days. Then you go over to the bottom of the cell until your cursor changes over to this plus sign. And then you click and then you drag it all the way to the end. So once you do that, you'll see that it will automatically count the days for you. Now, isn't that a neat trick? Okay, cool. Now next, we want to make the name and surname fields, or want to combine B3 and C3 so that it creates one whole column instead of having two separate columns. And then again, we just say merge and center. Then go over here, highlight the next one from B4 to C4, say merge and center. And then Excel does this really cool thing where instead of having to do this process manually of highlighting and clicking to merge and center, you just click on a cell which is already merged and centered, which is in this case over here. Go over to the bottom right corner and then you drag it down. Let's have it all the way until here. Beautiful. Actually, let's push it all the way to the end. Now we just created a mega new column. And then after that, let's say we want to find out the total attendance, the days present, the days which the total days the person was present. And then you can see, then we can say days absent. And then we also want to create some kind of a statement as in to say that if a person didn't attend for 3 days, then they should be labeled as if they had failed the training attendance, or if they attended all of the days, then they should be labeled as having passed. And then I will show you how we can do all of that neat formatting soon. So we'll call this attendance pass. Okay, now you can see over here that because the cell is very small, then the words are being cut off. So what you can do is that you can go over to the cell which is squashed, or which is looking very tiny, and then you go over to the center until your cursor changes to this symbol, and then you just click and drag it out, and then you also click and drag it out. Then you will see that you have this, which looks much better. So for demonstration's sake, I'm just going to fill out dummy name contents. So let's say Louisiana Jones. Okay, let me just add a few more names. And finally, let me choose a lucky friend. Awesome. So now we want to be able to see that, like, what is the number for Beatrice, Angelina, Supermarcus, and Tony Livinger. So what we can do is that we can give them a number so that it will be easier for us to track them. Now, if you go over to A4, the normal thing which someone will do is then click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But then that's tiring, because what if we have a million people? Okay, so what we can do is that we can go over to cell A4, you click in there and then you put 1, and then you go to cell A5, you click in there and you put in 2. Now highlight A4 to A5, go over to the bottom right corner, and boom, that's how the magic happens. Now you have the numbering done for you automatically. Okay, so we're going to have a criteria that if the person attended the register, then we give them a 1. If the person did not attend that the seminar on that day, then we give them a 0. So let's just give this guy a perfect attendance. This one missed the first day because it was rainy. She missed the second day because it was raining, and then she came on the final days. Supermarkets came on the first day, missed the 4th, missed the 5th. He was there on the 6th and the 7th. Louisiana Jones had a perfect attendance. Angel Braxton, we give him a 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1. Tony Livinger. Actually, let's make this Livingi. It's actually an African surname. Tony Livingi, we give him 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. He didn't show up on the final day. Anton, we give him 1, 1, 0, 1. Of course, you can skip, because now we're just filling out dummy data. Then like this. Okay, perfect. So now we have the names and surnames of our attendees. We gave them an ID, and now we also have the days which they attended the seminar. Very cool, right? So now we want to calculate how many days did this guy attend the seminar for. Now I could do the manual thing of counting. Okay, 1 plus 1. Okay, you get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But instead, I'm going to use a pretty cool feature called a function. So a function basically allows you to do mathematical calculations automatically. So you can either go over to, let's see. You can go over to this feature, and since we want to find the sum, we can choose this feature, this formula, and then you'll see that it will create this formula for us. Now take note, a formula is created by putting equal sign, the name of the function, and then the starting cell to the end cell. So if we say equal sum D4 to J4 and then press enter, you will see that the formula will calculate, the function will calculate the total days of attendance. But if you leave out if we use the sum function but leave out the equal sign, you will notice that nothing will happen. So we say sum and then a bracket, and then want to find the sum from Angel from day 1. Day 1, this is D5, and then you put a colon as if to say from D5 to J5, D5 to J5, and then you close bracket. If you press enter, you'll see that it's just entered as a normal value. It's not a function. That is because we did not put the equal sign. And then you can see that the function appears for you perfectly. There are also a list of other functions which you can try. There's sum, average, count numbers, max, min, more functions as well. And then you can also use this, formulas. And then this is where the power of Excel shines, because there are so many different kinds of formulas from the most simplest thing you can think about to the most complex thing you can think about, and you can even create your own functions or your own formulas. Isn't that cool? Either way, if you are asked in a test what's the difference between a function and a formula, it's basically the same thing, but a function is already a predefined formula which you find in Excel, whereas a formula is a custom formula which you defined yourself or which you create yourself. Now, again, you can see the name of the formula in the formula bar over here, and that's looking pretty cool, right? But then what if I want this formula to go over to all of these cells? Do I need to retype it? No. You can use our handy dandy, super useful feature, which is the autofill. So you just click where the formula is on this, and then you go over to the bottom right cell, wait for it to change to a plus or a cross. You click it and then you drag it down. And then you will see that it's able to perfectly count for you all of the cells which are present. Yay! Congratulations, you just created a cell function yourself for the first time, probably. Who knows? Good job. Now, here we calculate the days which the person is present, but what if we want to calculate the days which the person is absent? So in order to do that, we can create, let's see if we have a function for that already, so we don't have to rebuild. Let's see, there's also a count function. Count function will count all of these cells. So, nope, that's not what we need. Let's use something called countIf. So countIf is a function to count whether they are, okay, to count the cells according to a criteria which you set. So let's say equals countIf, and then we give it a range. So the range from which we want to count is from D3 colon to D to J4. Okay, and then we put the criteria by, okay, D4 to J4, now put a comma, and then now we put the criteria. So criteria, let's say countIf, in the cell we find a 1. Let's see. So we created the countIf function which highlights the range, which takes the parameters of range and criteria. So range is from D4 to D4 to J4, and the criteria is that if it finds a 1, then it should mark it, oh sorry, in this case 0 because it's the days absent. So if it finds a 0, then it should mark it as, then it should count it as a person that's absent. Boom. So now since this guy was present throughout all of the sessions, he doesn't have any 0, so the days absent is 0. And now again, we want to fill this formula into this field as well, or into this cell as well. So you can either do our highlighting here. If you want to go the longer way, you can say fill down. Oops, my apologies. You can highlight it all the way down from this cell to the end. Then you choose fill down. Beautiful. And as you can see, it has automatically calculated the days which the person was absent. Now the beautiful thing about formulas is that once you have created it once, or if you need to change a value, Excel answers the powerful question of what if. Say for instance, I made a mistake and Esa had attended on day 3. So if I put 1, you will see that the formulas for days present and days absent will automatically update themselves. Isn't that a cool feature? And then, just for demonstration's sake, day 5 was present, day 6 was present, day 7 was present. You can see how the functions will automatically calculate themselves. Wow, this is so cool. So let's do this, okay? Let's add some styling because this looks a bit confusing if you have to follow it on paper. So let's click from on this column over here, highlight this, and say that if the days are present, we want to color that as, say for instance, light green. So you can go over here to the fill color feature, then we just give it a light green, just for to distinguish it. And then if days absent, then we can also, you can also use the styles which are already given for you here. It also makes your life easier. And then let's mark this with good. Ta-da! So now let's have a feature that if the person attended more than 3 days, then they actually get a pass for the training session. Else, if they did not attend more than 3 days, then they would have failed. How do we create this? Okay, it will require a custom formula. So in order for us to create this formula, we say equals, okay, if, then the criteria. So we use the if function, which takes a logical test, and then if the value is true, it will output that second feature. But if the value is false, then it will output another feature. So let's have a logical test to say if the days present, okay, if days present is greater than 3, then it should show pass. Okay, so we put pass between these quotation marks to show that it's a string. Else, it should show the false value, which is after putting a comma. Then we say else it should show fail. I'm basically typing over in the formula bar. So we created a formula to say that if the days present is greater than 3, then output false. Else it should output fail. And then you press enter. Okay. So let's see how that works out for us. So let's go over to attendance, and then we go to the bottom right corner, and then we drag this down. And yay! You can see that our Excel formula is smart enough to recognize that the person has passed or the person has failed. Now let's just increase the size of this cell by going over to the top between M and N, and then you drag it out. Yes, congratulations, you just managed to create an Excel attendance list which can calculate the total days which the attendee was present and the days which they were absent, and then mark them as either passed or failed depending on how they had achieved for the day. Matter of fact, you can also add another function to calculate the total attendance for a day, or to find the sum for the total attendance for the day. So we can say total, we can create a total here over this cell below the names, and then below day 1 we say equals sum brackets, then you highlight from this cell to this cell over here, then you close it. Then you'll see that okay, the total attendance for day 1 was 7, Now the reason why this is able to work is because Excel uses two types of like mechanisms in order to find the location of the cell when you are referencing in the formula. So you can have the absolute reference, whereby no matter how far you move the formula, then it will not readjust. Or you can use relative referencing, which will then like calculate or change the formula according to the position of the cell. So if I move this formula over here to I15, you'll see that its value is able to change. So you will see that it's able to work fine. But yeah, actually I'll create another tutorial for this particular activity. So for now we can end over here, but let's just drag this out anyway over here. So now we see that okay, on day 7, E4 to E3, let's see, 6 people attended, 7 people attended, 8 people had attended the session. And then let's create like a formula. Let's make this bold. Can highlight from here to here. From over here to here, then we make it bold. And then let's see if we want, what else can we check? Let's find the total number of people that passed. Total passed, and then the total number of people that failed. So total pass, we can say equals dot counts if brackets, the range is from here to here, so from cell M4 to M13, and then the criteria is that someone passes if they have, we can count if the criteria is passed, and then we can see that 8 people had passed the session if this formatting was good, and then can say count if from M4 to M13, comma, if the value is, if the criteria is failed, then we press enter. So let's just confirm the result. So we see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people passed and 1, 2 people failed. Thank you so much guys for coming to the end of this tutorial, for coming this far. So there's another formatting feature. Sorry, I'm a perfectionist, so I like things to be styled properly. As a graphic designer, I just have that thing of paying attention to detail. So we can highlight this whole thing. Okay, let's fix this merge and center so that it merges and centers to M. Merge and center, good. Then let's give it a form. Let's give it borders so that it looks pretty cool. You can give it borders like that. And then for all of my designers out there, you also have this cool format as table feature, which already has predefined styles for you. And then you can create something like that. But for now, stick with this basic formatting or this basic style. And then yeah, thanks for watching guys. Thank you so much for coming to the end of the tutorial. If you found this very useful, please give it a like and subscribe as well. So the whole purpose why I'm actually working on this Excel series is because Excel is such a powerful tool, but people don't know how to use the formulas, or they are just intimidated by using the technologies or going a bit more complex or a bit further. Like I said, I will create the same tutorial in Oshiwambo as well as in Portuguese. So thank you so much for sticking around to the very end, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.